Hello and welcome. Let's take a look at our top story. The Horn of Africa is no longer a strategic coastline. It has turned into a battleground for two Gulf monarchies, the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Once staunch allies have turned into arch foes, and their growing rift is forging new alliances in the Horn of Africa. Now, the Horn comprises Eritrea, Ethiopia, Djibouti, and Somalia. The region is located on one of the world's busiest trade routes between the Suez Canal and the Indian Ocean, and it lies just across the Red Sea from West Asia. Riyadh and Abu Dhabi have been at loggerheads, and they are battling for influence in this strategic spot. Now, starting with Somalia. Mogadishu has signed a defense agreement with Riyadh. Somalia's defense minister met with his Saudi counterpart at the World Defense Exhibition in Riyadh.
This agreement further strengthens the defense and military cooperation between the two nations while covering various areas of mutual interest to both countries.
The timing of this deal is crucial. It comes nearly 1.5 months after Israel became the first country to recognize Somalia's breakaway region of Somaliland. Now, Somaliland unilaterally seceded from Somalia in 1991, but Mogadishu considers it to be a part of its territory. While Saudi Arabia and Somalia have close relations, the UAE has forged deep security and economic ties with Somaliland. The Emirati giant DP World has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in developing the Berbera port, which lies in the breakaway region of Somaliland. Now, experts suggest that Abu Dhabi was also involved in Israel's decision to recognize Somaliland. When the rest of the world was condemning Netanyahu for his move, only the US openly backed Israel, and the UAE chose to support the Israeli decision silently. Now, Abu Dhabi's support for Somaliland has angered Mogadishu. Last month, Somalia cancelled all existing agreements with the UAE. Another regional conflict that could further heat up because of the Riyadh-Abu Dhabi proxy war is the one between Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Egypt. Now, Addis Ababa and Asmara have long been at odds over their shared border and access to the Red Sea. Meanwhile, Ethiopia's mega dam on the Nile has angered its downstream neighbor, Egypt. The UAE has picked Ethiopia's side, while Eritrea has sought closer ties with Egypt and with Saudi Arabia. Now, when Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came to power in 2018, the UAE gave him a $3 billion loan and an $800 million currency swap line in 2023. Abu Dhabi has also funded the construction of a giant new palace in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. Meanwhile, Riyadh is deepening its ties with Asmara. Eritrea's President Isaias Afwerki has visited Saudi Arabia twice last year. He has also criticized Abu Dhabi's destabilizing role in Sudan. Now, Sudan has been grappling with a civil war since April of 2023. The UAE has been accused of funding the paramilitary RSF in that conflict. Now, Abu Dhabi has repeatedly denied these allegations. The Sudanese army has also accused the UAE's ally, Ethiopia, of hosting a training base for its RSF enemies. In a nutshell, the money is pouring into the Horn of Africa from the Gulf. The fight is over influence. It's a fight for who runs the show in the region, and the implications of this proxy battle clearly go beyond the Horn of Africa. Now, for more on this, we have with us Mohammed Khair Omer, who is a Horn of Africa political analyst, joining us live from Oslo, Norway. Welcome to Firstpost Africa.
Thank you very much for having me.
Mohammed, how significant is Somalia's new defense agreement with Saudi Arabia in the shifting balance of power in the Horn of Africa region? And does it signal a deeper proxy confrontation between Riyadh and Abu Dhabi?
Yes, it is. It is a quite important agreement because that puts Somalia, which is at odds with the UAE, will put it in a new alliance of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, and possibly Pakistan. So, and also Sudan, because the UAE has been supporting non-state actors in Somalia, for example. It supports Somaliland, has very strong relations. It had a base in Bosaso in Puntland, and it has been supporting the Libyan rebel Haftar in Libya and also Hamiti is RSF in Sudan. So this is important for Somalia because now it joins a bigger alliance together with Saudi Arabia to counteract, for example, Israeli recognition of Somaliland.
Right. Now, given the Horn of Africa's strategic position, which is, of course, along one of the world's busiest trade routes, why has competition among Gulf monarchies intensified now? And what risks does this pose for regional stability in countries like Somalia, Ethiopia, and in Sudan?
It is important because it's happening now because there has been a simmering conflict between Saudi Arabia and the UAE in Yemen. And by the end of 2025, in December, this escalated because those who are supported by the UAE, the Southern Transitional Council, came and occupied areas close to the border of Saudi Arabia in the provinces of Hadramaut and Mahara, which are close to Saudi Arabia and with whom Saudi Arabia shares tribal roots. So this put Saudi Arabia like it sensed danger from the UAE approaching its borders. So this exploded when Saudi Arabia airplanes attacked a shipment of arms in the port of Bukalla, which was going to the Southern Transitional Council, who are very closely related to UAE. So this was what really exploded the confrontation between them, but they have had different objectives in Yemen. And then Saudi Arabia usually supports state actors. It supports the unity of states. That is how it sees stability, while the UAE usually works with non-state actors like in Puntland, in Pasaso, it had a military airport, which was which was transporting arms and shipment to other areas also in Sudan and Libya.
And
this will have also
with these reports
difficulty.
of possible, right?
Yeah, they do have a possible also risk in the whole region because this is a very volatile region. Things change very fast. There is a war in Sudan. Somalia itself is not a very stable country. Al-Shabaab controls almost 40% of Somalia. And there is a confrontation now also, simmering conflict between Eritrea and Ethiopia. So this really will have greater impact on the whole region in an already volatile and vulnerable region.
Yeah. And Mohammed, with the reports of a possible Saudi-Egypt-Somalia military alignment and Somalia cancelling its agreements with the UAE, how might these emerging alliances reshape the security dynamics in the Horn? And what does Israel's recognition of Somaliland add to this, as you've explained, very already complex geopolitical contest?
Yeah, I think if we start with Somaliland, Israel's recognition of Somaliland, this came after Somaliland has been waiting for 34 years. It has been operating as a democratic country. It has had four competitive multi-party elections in Somaliland. It is relatively stable, but it has not got recognition, except it was recognition by Taiwan, which is not a member of the UN. So bringing in Israel in this troubled region, and Israel coming from a 2-year devastating war in Gaza, where it has been condemned internationally and accused of committing genocide in Gaza, and then bringing it here will really destabilize the region. So Somalia sees this as a threat. The Houthis have said they are going to attack Somaliland if it hosts military bases for Israel. And also, Somalia has made it very clear it will going to fight Israel if it is given a post or presence in Somaliland. And so, this has really put the whole region into a complicated web of actors. And the UAE is very much close to Somaliland. It might have been behind this Israeli recognition, but it in itself, it is shy of doing this. And also, the UAE is very closely attached to Ethiopia. And so arms and shipments have been now passing, because the UAE, because Saudi Arabia and Egypt have closed their airspace to planes from the UAE. So this have been moving now through Ethiopia. So Ethiopia has become now a center of shipment for arms to the RSF.
Right. Mohammed, thank you very much for being with us on First Post Africa. We'll have to leave it there.
Thank you very much.
Power doesn't end quietly. Some deaths are not accidents. They are messages. A gunshot. A crowd. A country frozen. The killer disappears. The questions don't. This is not just about who died. It's about what followed. Governments fell. Armies moved. History rewrote itself. 5 leaders. 5 moments. One pattern. The assassination.